Video is going to be on restringing my GUITALELE. Now, I just made one video on how to restring a classical guitar, and I used the EJ45 D'Addario strings, and it came out really nice. They have ball ends on them, and I was thinking of putting a ball end on this GUITALELE, but what I ended up doing was putting on the D'Addario EJ45 made for a half-size guitar, normal tension strings. Now, this is what I've had on for years because I have it tuned to guitar standard tuning E instead of A. And there's just a lot of slop in these strings. There always has been, but I don't mind it. I enjoy it. I don't really use it. I'm not a classical player. I'm just an acoustical chord player trying to learn a little bit of lead and classical. And this thing's really small and it's very difficult to play for me because I'm just not that good, which I can admit. So after I put these strings on, they've just been stretching, which I know is normal. It takes about 3 or 4 days for them to stop stretching, and all strings always stretch, but this thing loses tune constantly. So I thought before I order another set of strings from online Amazon that I would do a test. And why did I use these strings? As I mentioned when I did my last video, see if you want to check out all 3 of these, the restringing the classical and then putting the strings on with the half size. When I did this, first I contacted D'Addario by email, and they were very nice, and they did their calculations and said they thought this would be the right string. Well, if you look at the tension, I believe the total tension on these strings, it's like 69 pounds or something like that. Is it listed on here? Or it's listed, but it's something like 69 pounds if you look online. And I used the half size because that's what D'Addario told me. But then I did some research online and found out that, yes, you want normal tension, but when you look on their website, they say that this GUIT was designed for standard nylon strings for classical guitar. It doesn't say anything about quarter size, half size. It just says standard strings, which makes a lot of sense because if they designed this for half size only, they would be breaking the bridges on all of these and people would be returning them or looking for credit, and it would be a return nightmare for whoever makes these things. So what I decided to do, and I mentioned it in my video, I wanted to use regular strings and see what happened. And if I broke the bridge, then you would see that happen live. But what I found out is these put out, okay, these, the old ones that I've got on now, put out about 69 pounds, as I said, and these are somewhere in the 80s, 80, I don't know if it was 88 or 82 or somewhere in the 80s. And since Yamaha says this is capable of handling a standard string in the 88 or 90 range, I decided I wanted to put these on. I don't know if they're going to work. I don't know if it's going to break the bridge. I don't know if they are going to stretch. I don't know if they're going to sound good. But they are normal tension, but since they are not made for half size, they have much more tension. The other thing is, I don't know if I'm going to be able to tune it to E. I know with these strings they did the calculations and said I would be able to tune it to the standard guitar tuning E, and in the information from Yamaha they're talking about using standard strings, but they don't mention if it's tuned to E, so they might just be saying you can only use this for A. When I try to tune this to E, I might have a lot of slop or I might break the string. So that's what this video is going to be about. We're going to do a test. Now I will say, a lot of research on the internet about restringing. Lots of people have spent hours and weeks and lots of money buying the right strings and talking about intonation and what they think is the best. And some people have mentioned these, and other people have mentioned strings that cost $10, $15. I don't want to put that much money in there. I use this kind of like a hobby, like a toy, so I can lay on the sofa and play and practice and mess around with something that's easy to play and hold. So I'm going to go and install these now. My old video, the video that I just did I'm not going to duplicate everything that I did, but I want you to look at the layout here, because that's mostly what you need to know. You can watch my old video if you want to get an idea of how I wrap these strings on here, winding them around, shoving the string into the hole twice on the smaller strings, and on the bigger strings I wasn't able to, so I just wrapped them around. Turn this around so you can see what it looks like from the back. And if this works, then I'm probably going to buy another set of EJ45s with the ball end, even though people said you cannot put the ball end on this thing. I don't know, it might work. I don't see why it wouldn't work. I think the ball end would fit on here. And this is just a nightmare to have to mess with. Not so bad doing this knot if you go and you do the, like you would on a classical, wrapping all of these together and linking them together to make it look pretty. That's really difficult, so this isn't that bad. I'm going to get out the tripod now, put this on there, and I'm going to start unwinding these strings. I'm going to do this one at a time so I can keep tension on the neck. And the other reason I'm going to do that is because it makes it really easy to see where I am removing the string from, what part of the post over here, and so I'll be able to put it on much easier without having to look at photos to remember where it belongs. If you haven't done this before, remember that all of these are the same. When you turn it counterclockwise, you tighten it, and when you turn it this way, you loosen it. Is that right? For those of you that haven't done this before, you're going to be turning this counterclockwise to loosen it. And if you have one of those winding tools, it is a lot easier. The only advice I can give you, like I said earlier, see, let's listen. We're starting to loosen it. The only advice I can give you is do one string at a time. What I did before is I put strings on this side, and then I started loosening this side, and I thought I was loosening it while I was loosening this side, so I loosened what I just put on. So one at a time, take your time, be patient. You're going to need some cutters. You're going to need a tuner. If you're tuning, even if you're tuning to standard tuning, I would use a chromatic tuner if you have one. Makes it a lot easier because these strings are so flimsy, and it's kind of difficult to get into the right range unless you were very good with tuning and sounds. When I use the regular guitar tuner, I just, on the number 1 string, I completely bypassed the right note, thinking that I was close, but I was so much tighter than I should have been by a couple notes. And when I got the chromatic tuner, I could see how far off I was. So just a suggestion. I'm going to undo a couple of these, and then I'll pop out the strings, and we'll look at them and see what they look like in an unboxing, unpackaging, and then I'll start installing a couple at a time. Time to do the unboxing of the Pro Arte EJ45s. What do we have here? We have a, maybe they're going to have stickers on there. They might have little stickers on the strings. When you do the steel Diodarios, they have color coding on the balls. On the ball ends, not on the balls. There are no balls in these packages. Okay, and then they have the color coding on the back of the package. But on these strings, we just have little stickers, nice little stickers. We do not have ball ends on these, on any of them. So I don't know if you have done this before, and I don't want to keep telling you to look at my other video that I just did on how to restring this. So what I'm going to do, I removed, if you don't have any of the strings on here, I would do the inside ones first, which is the number 6 and the number 1, mainly because it is easier to work on getting the strings in to those 2 strings, the outer strings, work from the center out towards the hole. And when you've already got a string on here, like you can see, there's a string, it's very difficult to work on this hole in here to get the string in. Once it's in there, it's not that difficult, but it takes, you just can't get your fingers in. So if you're doing this without strings, and I wish that number 2 is off. And if no strings, then it's not a big issue, but I would do these 2 first if you can. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the number 6 string, which is, where is it? I don't even see it. The number 6, the thickest string, a very thick string. And these are much longer, obviously, than using the half length for the half size guitar. And if it had a ball end, it would be a lot easier to do. I showed in my last video there are 2 ways to do this. One of them is you can go and put a knot. Just make a little tiny knot. Let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to do this on the smallest strings, the 1, 2, and the 3. As you can see, I removed the 6, but the 4 and the 5, all I'm doing is I'm putting the string through the hole. And see this top piece? I know it's really difficult, so let me hold it here for a little bit so you can see. This piece over here comes through, loops around this string, loops around, goes behind and over, and then wraps. All it does is it wraps under here once. It's just one around the string, loops around and goes under, and then you pull. And that works fine. If you're going to be doing that on the smaller strings, you might maybe want to do that twice. The whole thing is you don't want these to slip, and they will slip if you don't have it really tight. There's no reason for them not to slip. The other way to avoid that is over here you can see there is a tiny little ball. You just take the string and you make a knot. Make just a standard knot, and then you cut it off, and then you do the exact same type of looping thing, but notice how the ball is going to stop the string from slipping out, so it makes it a lot easier. Here, all I'm doing is I'm going around the string and looping once, and over here I'm going around the string and looping over and under. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. Brand new string. And look at all of this. It's already started to unwind, so all of this part is wasted. I'm not able to use any of this. See the flimsiness? I don't know why they packaged it that way, but this part is mostly useless. So I'll be cutting it off over here after I put my knot in. Again, the advantage, maybe by going with the full-length strings instead of the half-length, is that I'm going to have a lot more room to work with. Put a tiny little bend on the end of the string, and I'm not using a tripod here, so this will be a bit difficult, but you put a tiny bend on there, and see if it will slide through. And the reason you're doing that is so that, that's why you do it, so that it makes it easier. If it's straight, it might not be as easy to slide it over this little hump, especially on a bigger guitar. This one, not such a big deal. And then after you do that, then you pull it all the way through, and then I'll show you what you need to do to make your little knot or your wrap around on this end. Since I don't have a tripod that works from overhead, I'm going to have to do this from a different angle, but you should be able to see what I'm doing. What I'll do is, you got a lot of slack here, so you take your string end and you wrap it, you loop it around. See how I'm looping it around? All I'm doing is I'm bringing it around. Bringing it around, and then I'm going to go over and under. Wrapping it around, and then I'm going to go over the top. I think you can see I'm going over the top, and then I'm going to go under. So let's do that now. Let's go loop it around and then wrap it under. It's not as easy as it looks, and it's not as hard as it looks. It's difficult, especially trying to see this on the video. I hope you can see what I'm doing here. And I will let you know, a little warning, if you grab this thing with needle nose, that might be really good, but make sure it's a good grip, because the last time I did that, when I did the grip with the needle nose, it just took all the string, the winding of the strings, and just removed it. Just a waste of the string. So that looks fairly nice. That's tight, especially on these big strings. That's going nowhere. This string is not going to come off. And that's why I really want to try a ball end, because then you avoid all these problems. And people have said it won't handle a ball end, but I think it will. If anyone has done that with the ball end, let me know. If you're a classical guitarist, then I don't think you're going to be watching this video, because you already know how to do this, and you're not going to like the way I'm doing it. But if you're just a beginner or somebody who's doing this for the first time, then if this helps, good. If you want to do a thumbs up, a subscribe, or a like, that would be awesome. If you want to leave a donation to my channel page, ask me for my PayPal info. So this part is finished. This part is really finished, and that's what you really need to do on 6, 5, and 4. These are the easiest to do. And if you do it this way on 3, 2, 1, as long as you tie your little tiny knot on the end, then there's no way the string is going to slip out of this knot, and you should be okay. You should be really okay with your string. Now, there's an enormous amount of extra string compared to the video that I did where I only had a couple inches of string because I was reusing strings. So on the big strings, as I said before, it's easier just to put the string in the hole and start winding, start tightening, and the string is going to have to go from the hole to this edge. For the number 6, 5, which is going to be more towards the middle, and as long as you've got enough room to route that string in on the nut, then the 4 is going to be fine, and you'll be fine with all of these. On this, I'll show you how to wrap the string through the hole, take it out the other end, wrap it back into the first hole, and then you start winding. And you don't really need to do that either, but it's just a way to stop the smaller strings from slipping on 3 and 2 and 1, just like adding this knot makes it easier and avoids the slipping of the strings. So I'm going to go in here, and you don't really need to see me put the string in number 6 hole and wind it. And I might even do 5 and 4, and then I'll come back to the video. It's the new number 6 string that I put in, and I didn't do anything fancy over here. I just put it in the hole and started wrapping. And I've got, you maybe want around 3 or 4 or 5 wraps. And so how did I figure that out? What I did is I took the package and I put it next to the hole over there. And then I went all the way down to the end of the package. And then I added a little bit longer. So if you just use the width of the package as your gauge, then that should give you an idea. And it changes with the smaller strings. It's not as accurate. But for the bigger strings, for the number 6, cut it to the width of the package, or a fraction longer, and then put the string in there. Let's try to get a better picture if I can of this thing. And now I'm going to go and cut the excess, which you can do beforehand if you want. It's hanging out of the hole, but you can see how nice and clean everything is over there. So I'm going to do that for the rest of the 2 big strings, and then I'll get on with the 1, 2, and 3. Try to tune this thing now, because that's the goal of the video, is to show you how to restring this and to see if I break my bridge or if I'm able to even tune to standard guitar tuning with these strings without breaking the bridge, and if it will work. There's still a lot of flimsiness in the string like there was in the half size, but that's to be expected. Come to think of it, I don't even know what strings you're supposed to use if you are tuning this to A. Maybe you use the same strings. We're at C sharp. I've got the chromatic and I've got the guitar tuner. It's really weird. When I started playing guitar, I could never figure out how people tune without a tuner. And I still can't do it, but my ears seem to be detecting a little better than they used to be. I gotta stop talking now because it's detecting my voice. With the number 6 string almost at E. And obviously, you take these things and you're going to stretch them, and they're going to stretch over the next couple days anyway. As they stretch, they will hopefully lock into tune. I know on the package, like I told you, it says there's about 20 pounds more tension than with the half length. It's already going down in tune and stretching. But I don't think I'm really going to notice until I have all the strings on there. There's a lot of slop in there, but maybe not. And those are the half-length strings. And this thing, there's a lot of slop in that too, but maybe not. I don't know if it sounds better, and that's the whole point of the video. I'm kind of excited. Starting with the number 5 string, I didn't bend it. You really don't need to with this. There's just enough room that you're able to put the string in from the center part where the sound hole is and just push it outward. So, and if you can, or if you want to go in from this end first, bend it a little bit so it doesn't get stuck. And now I'm going to put in the same knot on this string that I put in over here, which I already showed you, so you don't need to see that for number 5 and 4, but you put the string through the hole, you pull it out and you wrap it around. You wrap it around this string. And then you bring it over and under and out. You should be able to see that. If you need to freeze frame that, let me zoom in a little bit more. Or you can look at my other video and watch me do it in slow motion. Oh, doesn't like that zooming. Come on, let's focus. Just so that you can see this take place one more time, I'm going to do it with a piece of dummy string. String goes through the hole, wrap it around, wrap it back, put it back. And I know this is upside down, but that should be okay. Put it behind. See what I'm doing? Putting it behind. Looping it behind. And normally you would go like this, but that's not going to hold it. So, and sometimes what they do is they will just loop it around and put it inside the hole with one knot. I'm going to get my fingers out of the way. They'll just put it in with one knot and they're done. And that can work. That's workable. Not on the small strings, but that is workable. If you don't want to go and do the double knot, this is a workable thing. To make it more secure, instead of just doing your one knot, what you do is you undo that, you wrap it around, you loop it around, and you go over and under. So I'm going to go over and under. This is the tricky part. Over and under. Grab that with your fingers if you can. And then you'll pull and you'll make your knot. It's a more secure knot. It's a double knot instead of just the wrap it around and the loop underneath one time that some people do. That is the number 6 string that I did originally, and this is the number 5 that I just did. And again, what I did with this one is I used the width of the string package. So I put the string right at the edge of the hole, And then I went all the way to the end, and that is the length that I used. I put the string in the hole, and now I'm going to cut off the excess, which there was excess that I cut off before. But these are much easier to wind than a full-size guitar. There's just not a lot of excess that's on here, and so it's much easier to take care of. So I'm going to tune the number 5 now, tune the number 6 again, and then I will put the number 4 on. You don't need to see me string that. Notice the difference. Same measurements from width of the, I want you to notice the difference between the 6, 5, and the 4 string. I used a little bit bigger than the width of the package, and I've got a lot of wraps there. The string is thicker. Maybe 1 wrap less on the 5, and even much less on the 4. So the smaller the string, the less wraps you're going to have if you keep doing the width of the package measurement, and it gets even worse on the 3, 2, 1. So you're going to want to go even wider than that. And it's time to do some tuning, so I can't really talk because it messes up the chromatic scale. Let's try to get E back. E is really slipped. Or E flat. It's really stretching. G. G sharp. So I'm not really good with this whole thing. Maybe by making it even tighter, you end up tuning it up to the proper GUITALELE. That's how it was when I bought it, and I'm really curious what it would sound like. I know when I first bought it, I didn't like the sound of the high pitch. It was really annoying to me, but now the more I play, the more I seem to like the things that I hated in the beginning. F sharp. Shows for string 3, that's way off. C. This is why the chromatic is just so much easier for me until I get into the range. Once it's tuned, then I can use the guitar one. We're at 4, D, C sharp. Let's see what we already lost. D, E, we're losing. Okay, so I'm going to go crank on the last 3 strings now. And again, remember, I showed you, you can do the knot. If you do the knot at the very end, it just makes it so much easier. You can just do the single loop that I showed you, or you can do this double loop knot that I showed you on the 6, 5, and 4. I've never done the just the double knot on the 1, 2, and 3. I've always put on a knot and then just done a single knot on the end and then did a single wrap loop around the string and pulled it. So I'm not really sure which way I'm going to go. I'll show you when I get there. Here's a close-up of what I am removing, just so that you can see what I was talking about. That's the knot on the very end that you make, and then you cut it off, and then you slip the string through. And this is, if this was one of the 6, 5, or 4, this is just a single loop where it's wrapped around the string and comes out and goes underneath. But if you're doing the small strings, you have to either do a knot on the end and then do the single loop and underneath, or you do the around, over, under, and pull. And this is so easy to do. It's very easy to do, but I'm going to try it this way and see if I can make it work so I can show you what it looks like. I must say that doing it this way, the double loop, is so much easier than going in there and tying a tiny little knot on the end and then cutting it off and then doing the single loop. So now that I've done this a couple times, I will say I will recommend this is the easiest way to do it. And if you don't have tiny fingers, this is probably going to be a little difficult for you to do. But it looks even better than doing the knot. Looks a little cleaner than doing that knot on the end and then wrapping it around. But either way, nobody's going to be looking down here when you're playing, hopefully. The strings for the 6, 5, and 4 are fairly thick for the holes that they drill on these, and it's very difficult to do a double wrap. With the smaller strings, it's very easy to do, and while you don't have to do it, and you can find it, you can knot things, or you can make a knot, loop it around here. The easiest way is, with these smaller strings, is you take the string, you can see it's coming over here, you loop it around, and then you're just going to put it right back in the hole. Get it to the right length, and then you're going to start wrapping. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. But that's all you're going to be doing, is you are going to slide the string through twice. And it just makes it a lot more secure so that it's not going to come undone. And after you get it to the right point, with this, I went a width of the string package plus 2 fingers. Again, because this string is narrower, and you want to have enough wraps going around this peg. And I was doing the number 1 string, and I broke it. Obviously, I was way off on the octave and broke the string. I'm going to see if I can recover it. If not, then I'll have to put on one of my old strings if I can figure that out. Oops. But everything else tuned in really nicely. I just thought that the one was not in tune, but I must have gone an octave way over what it should have been. Oops, oops, oops. I was able to recover, but I might break it again. That's the thing I got to be worried about and careful with. With acoustic strings, you can always tell when you're getting in the range. With this thing, I was using the chromatic, and it showed that I was at E, and I thought, for the number 1 string, and I thought, no way, that string's ready to fall off, it's so loose. So I just kept on going, and pop. So we're at 6 over there. We're looking good. I'm really surprised that it's that they're holding up so well. The other strings that I put on the classical, they were just stretching all over the place, and even on this. But so far, these are staying, well, it's slipping a little bit, but they're staying within range. 3-2, which is surprising. So I can't mess up now with 1. Okay. Maybe 1 just needs to be really loose, but I'm using both tuners now. It's so wobbly. D. And that's why it's kind of tricky with these things. Sometimes it shows string 4 and then it shows 1. It's just really confusing sometimes. This shows D, so we're almost at E. Sometimes it shows 6 is, okay, we're good with 6E, which obviously 6 is E. And then it should pop into the 1E, but I'm at E flat now. Maybe the number 1 string is just going to be really loose. Wow, that's very floppy. I'm still at E flat. See, I went from E flat to F sharp. That's what's messing me up here. No, that's not right. That's where I was before, and then I kept on tightening and snap, snap. I'm going to shut off the video, finish tuning this thing. I'm either going to break it and tell you that I messed up, or I'll come back and play something for you and let you know what I think. Definitely not happy. I just broke the number 1 string twice, and I don't think I have enough space to make this thing work to be able to put it on again. Maybe. The problem is that when I put on the number 1 string and I tune it to the first E, the string's wobbling all over the place and there's a lot of slop, and maybe that's why I need to have the half size guitar string. And when I tune it up, I get to around B or C, and then the string snaps. So my review of the Pro Arte for the GUITALELE is a definite no, because it's not going to work. I don't know why, except for maybe it has to do with the scale. I just can't get the string to go into tune before it breaks because there's way too much tension. It makes no sense to me. I really don't understand why it's not working, but will the EJ45 work on the GUITALELE? It might work for you, but it's definitely not working for me. When I tune it to the first E, the string is flopping all over the place, and when I try to get up to the second E, it breaks. If you like my my reviews, if they help you, thumbs up, subscribe, or like. And if you want to donate, if this saves you time or money, please ask for the PayPal info. As far as this end, I would say definitely make the double knot. It's so much easier than putting a knot on the end and then doing a single loop. And as far as this, all of my lengths were best when I was going one width of this package for excess and then wrapping it around. And it also left me enough room for the #1 string to try to wrap it again when it broke, which didn't really help me because it broke 2 times. So I'm going to see if I can recover my old #1 string, pop it on here, but the Pro Arte for the EJ45 doesn't seem to work on the Yamaha GUITALELE GL1. I say I really can't believe this, but I was able to recover, and I've got the string on. I'm going for a 3rd time of trying to tune it. I don't know why. I'm guessing that maybe the tension is so much and the double knot is slipping here. So I put the knot on the end this time and did a single, maybe I did a double loop. I did the knot and the double loop. I'm going to try to tune this one more time to E. And this shouldn't, I don't want to say this shouldn't be happening, but it shouldn't be happening unless, again, it has a lot to do with the, wow, maybe the #1 string just has to be, look at that, there's just too much slop on there. I don't want to break it though, so, but I'm going to break it while you're watching if I do it at all. It never gets on the tuner. It never goes to the 1E. That's the problem. And I don't know where it's snapping. I don't understand where it's snapping. But it never gets up there. Whoa, that's way off. Let's see. Why is that? Let's try this again. E. E is holding really well. So the first... E and A, G, E, A, D, they just hold really well. That's why I'm surprised. G keeps slipping, obviously, but that's just to be expected. And B is slipping a lot. But the strings are firm. That's the thing that just throws me off. They're still kind of sloppy, like the half size. And then when I'm going to do this right up, it shows 6. The string is, you can't have a string like that. That's where the problem is when I try to tighten. Look at all the play in there, where there's not any play in here. So I'm just going to go for it, and because you can't play that. There's not even a sound. Listen to that. So you can watch the string break while I tune this thing. Where are we at now? We're at E, E flat, and then when I get it to where I need it to go, it snaps. And again, it might be because of this, the knot might be slipping. I'm just amazed that I was able to recover and do this 3 times. 6, 5, 4, 3, 6E. It wants to show 1E. It's going to break. I know you're going to get to watch a string break. It's definitely going to break. It's too low. Maybe I'll be able to play this in slow motion when it happens. Let's go over to the 5th fret. It's much lower, so it needs to go up higher. 3G, that's normally what happens. It shows G and then all of a sudden it pops in. This is going to snap. A. I'm just glad it hasn't hurt me. Alright, when's it going to pop? When is it going to snap? It's got a little bit of... Six. Nope, that's A. D is holding fairly well. E is not that bad. Let's see how bad G slipped. G is slipping again. B, we're at B flat. There's a lot of tension on this. Well, there's enough tension. It's going to pop. If it doesn't pop, I will be amazed. Whoa, that just showed almost an 8 now. See, the tuners are really throwing me off. That sounds so much alike. Okay, B. Wow, my ears are getting better. And that's a B. So they're both tuned to B. This thing needs to go up to E. Oh boy, I want to move my hand away. I don't want that to snap and cut my hand. Let's try to get this on the camera so that C, it's getting ready. It pops around C. We're so close. This is showing D. No, it's showing B. C. All right. That sounds so much alike. Why does that sound alike? Okay, I'll be back. I'm going to end up buying new strings. This is probably going to be going in the garbage soon. It shows. It's somewhere around B or C. And that's when it snaps. Very close to C. So we're getting ready to see a snap any minute now. Now it's showing D. This is what C sharp. The string's getting really, it's not that tight. It shouldn't snap. C sharp. Oh my God, just go in tune already. D. I'm getting worried. This shows D and that shows C sharp. Low D. We're going to pop any minute now. D, the closest I've been. If this tunes, then it has to do with the double knot and the way I knotted it the last time. Ooh, and it was just slipping. We are at C sharp. Come on, stop that. I'm getting worried. I'm getting worried. This video is going way too long. Okay, it should be popping any minute now. We're at D, so it's going to break. Let's see what the rest of this looks like. Sounds like. A, it's holding. Incredible. I hope these strings work. I just really do, because they're cheaper than buying the half. G is slipping. They are cheaper than buying half. Not that I don't really care about the money. It's not a big issue. A few dollars, how often do you change these? We're back to C sharp. I'm moving my hand because I want the video to be able to show the string breaking if it does break. Oh, we just went to almost a D. This is when it should snap. There's not that much tension on there. There isn't much tension, and the nut is clean, and the bridge is clean. So, and I have never broken a string. I broke one string installing a string in the last 5 years, and I just broke this string twice. Not that much tension on there. Yikes! I'm getting worried. We're a D. It's weird how this thing goes from D to G. It just makes... It's getting tight. I can hear some noise. I don't like the sound of this. I don't know if the bridge is getting ready to break off, or the string's getting ready to snap. Boom! Oh, I'm so close. I'm so close. Oh, I just saw one E on this one. I'm at E flat. This might work. This could work. Stay with me, people. 4D, E flat, going slow. That's why chromatic is really nice, because at least it gives you some idea where you're at. Even though I've broken the string twice. I'm at E flat, which is nice to see. This one shows that I'm at high end of the D. D sharp, E flat. Oh, it's getting tight. Woo, baby, it's tight. It is tight, oh yeah. Whoa, when I speak, I speak in a G sharp. So close, like half step away. It's really weird how I had no idea what half step was, and I couldn't really detect the sound and the pitches and the notes, and now years later, I'm like, wow, I impressed myself. Oh, 1E, 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 we're getting there, we're getting there. And this showed E flat, almost at the top. Is it gonna snap? It's so close. I'm almost there. Don't break, don't break. I know I said it doesn't matter about the money, but I'm gonna have to go online and order. I'm right there. There's a lot of tension on there, but there really isn't that much. Okay, I'm almost there. I don't want it to cut my finger. That's why I keep messing up when I'm doing this. Stop ringing. That's E. So that's why I was able to restring it 3 times. It's not that I was breaking the string, I was snapping the knot. I had to do the little knot on the end because my double knotty thing over here was not holding the string. Interesting. So I guess the right way to do it is to do the double knot over here, and then on this one put a knot on the end of the string, and then do your either single or double knot, which way you want to go. Let's tune this sucker up. It's really holding well, I'm surprised. Even acoustics don't do this good, but I'm sure G is going to slip. A is holding well. D is holding well. G slipped a little. Not that much. B really slipped. How close did I stay to E? Whoa. Don't break, don't break. I'm right on E flat. And normally it takes about 3 or 4 days for this thing to stop stretching, and then they really never stop stretching. And normally on my acoustic I like to stretch the strings. This one I'm not even going to do that because I don't want to break anything. Alright people, there it is, it's in tune. E, A, D, G, B. Whoa, we just lost that E. Okay, so let me kind of take that back. Maybe these do work. Maybe they actually work if you tie the knot the right way. One more time, let's see if we stay in tune. E, A, D, G, G slipping a little, B slipping a little, which is just to be expected. E slipping a lot, and it always did on this guitar, on this Goot. Let's do something really quick and see how it sounds, so I can give an analysis, an opinion. Let me give you something to look at. I know that's kind of boring, looking at a table. Wow, did I lose my E? D? E is definitely slipping. Except for the E, I haven't had any. I had no problems at all stringing this except for the number 1 string, which had to do obviously with the knot that I was putting on there. And otherwise, I'm surprised that 5 out of the 6 strings are holding so well. I'm sure in the morning it's going to be really bad, but let's see what it sounds like. I love it. I'm very happy. Okay, so I take back my negative comment because it had to do with the knot. These strings are awesome. They are cheaper than buying the half size guitar strings, and they, in my opinion, I think they sound a little bit better. I'm not going to talk about intonation. I'm not an expert like a lot of the other people out there. I just wanted to show you how to put strings on a Goot if you've never done it before, how to tune it to standard guitar tuning, which is E, A, D, G, B, E, instead of making it sound like the uke that it comes tuned to. And I wanted to see if these strings would work so I wouldn't have to buy the half size. The next time I do a review, I'm going to go buy the ball ends, and because I think it would be a lot easier than having to mess with the knots. I think it's going to work. If somebody has done that, leave a comment. Let me know what you think of putting the ball end on here. And if anybody wants to leave some comments on suggestions, that would be awesome. On which strings. I'm not going to go out and spend 10 or 15 bucks on strings for something like this. There's just no way. If you have any suggestions about tying the knots, or about playing, or just anything, leave comments. If you want to link this to somebody, that's fine, as long as we can all share our knowledge on how to do this. Did it hold? E is slipping all over. Is it going to break while the video is going? 4, 5, and 6 are holding. 1, 2, and 3 are slipping. And again, this is the Yamaha CL1. There's another one out there. I can't remember who makes a small Goot like this. It cost about $200. I think it's a baritone uke, but people are using it like I did this little $99 thing. This is a stain job. I didn't like what I had, so I put some cherry stain on it. Didn't come out great, didn't come out bad. But, you know, I don't take this stuff seriously. I just have fun with it. And if it breaks, you go out and you buy another one. Sorry about the video being so long. I didn't expect to have so many problems, but hey, I'm going to go post this. And the most important thing, leave good comments. Don't leave anything negative because I'll just block you. But leave creative comments so that we can all learn on how to play this cool uke. And if anybody's got suggestions on fingerings for classical or how to do... I'm an acoustic player, and I'm just trying to learn some lead and a little bit of Spanish guitar, Spanish fingerings, and some plucking, and trying to be able to move around on this thing because it is so small. It's really hard to do bar chords that sound any good. Because I don't have big fingers and I still can't reach in here. So that's it. That's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. If anybody got to the end, which I doubt, but if anybody got to the end, let me know. Thank you. The description box, and I'll let you know if everything that I said holds true. So far the strings are still stretching. They are loose, there's no doubt. There's a lot of looseness in them, tuned to standard tuning, but it sounds really good. And I think they are easier to play than, what was that, the EJ45s, the half-size guitar strings. And the bridge doesn't seem to be having any problem, and like I told you, if you go online, you will find out that this thing was designed to handle normal tension classical strings, so you should not have to use the half length, the half size guitar. And that's it.